So the question should be an easy one. What happens when the House passes one of the most consequential election integrity bills in modern history and the Senate stalls? What happens when 4 Republican holdouts suddenly become the firewall standing between security elections and political chaos? And what happens when a rapper, yes, a rapper, an artist, does more to mobilize voters than half the GOP conference? Well, it'd be enough if that was just half the story, but there's more to the story. Because President Donald Trump goes postal yesterday afternoon. Late afternoon. No warning, no soft language. Just took the biggest political sledgehammer aimed directly at anyone thinking about derailing one thing. Remember, the House passed it. And that sledgehammer appears to have flipped someone. But are we actually out of the woods yet? What did he take aim at? What did he say? And does Trump have something much bigger, something more nuclear, waiting in the wings? Well, if you read what he had to say, and you know what it indicates, everyone in Washington is now shaking because he's not playing games anymore. And that's a story we'll discuss here in just a few seconds. First, we got a few disturbing things to cover. Things I didn't think we would be covering. You know, all these politicians love to show that they're normal people, right? Terry McAuliffe here. Happy 4th of July, Virginia. This year's extra special. Now, this is an older clip from 2021, but at least the man does know how to fill his barbecue grill, unlike Chucky Schumer, who has cheese on raw meat. But I digress, because if you think that's disturbing, Spam Burger, I know Spam Burger, but did you see this photo op? She wants to appear normal. It's like you and I, right? Except, did you look a little bit lower in this photo? Because if you did, you see one of the most disturbing things you've probably ever seen on a barbecue grill, because no one's exactly sure what she was grilling on that grill. Disturbing? Did she take a weed whacker to the meat? Is that Wolverine steaks? Nobody knows. So if you're going to try to appear to be normal, at least have something identifiable on your grill. Because that, my friends, is not normal. Before we give on to even more left lunacy like AOC taking the world stage and showing exactly why she should never be on the world stage. Huge favor, before I get there, can you make sure your bell is checked to all for Lisa? If you're new here, welcome home. I hope you'll subscribe. Lisa also has a backup channel. We'll put a link above. Love you to subscribe there. She'll also put a link to my channel. Love you to subscribe. That channel is absolutely exploding. As you know, we're all a member of RestrictedRepublic.com. That is our home news platform, where tomorrow I'm going to be doing a video which is rather eye-opening. It appears there was a document created before January 6th about things that were, well, exposed in January 6th, about how to prepare for things in January 6th ahead of when January 6th ever happened. Unusual. Eye-opening. I'll be doing that exclusively at Restricted Republic. Love to have you there. Also would love to give a special shout out to our sponsor, which is Noble Gold Investments. Have you been to lisahavengold.com? If not, it's time, because something's brewing. You can feel it. The problem, you never know the full story until after the crash, after the collapse, after it's too late. And here's the brutal truth. You can't protect yourself after. You have to be ready now. All this uncertainty, the chaos, the warning sign, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's noise, but maybe it's the beginning of something bigger. Nobody knows for sure, but waiting to find out. That's how people get hurt. Physical gold and silver aren't just investments. They're preparation. They're the foundation of real protection. And our friends over at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. No pressure, no games, just proven insight when it matters most. Look, you're either prepared or you're not. Which one would you be? Which one would you want to be when everything changes overnight? I need you to go to lisahavengold.com. You got that? lisahavengold.com. Get your free wealth protection kit. And with every qualified account, you know what you get right now? This amazing 3-ounce American Virtues coin. Is that freaking thing amazing? Remember, there's no need to panic because Noble Gold Investments can help see you through. There's more information in the description box below. There's always a risk to investing, no guarantees, but if anyone can see you through it, and with every qualified account, you get this amazing 3-ounce American Virtues Independent Silver Round coin. I need you to go to lisahavengold.com right now. Noble Gold Investments, thank you for sponsoring this video that we're about to get back to right now.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Just asking for a friend, if anyone could possibly tell me what that meant, please put it in the comments below because I have absolutely no idea what AOC just said there. And if you do, and if that made any sense to you, then I'm wrong and I will stand corrected. So please blow up the comment box below. But I'm pretty sure you don't either. Because I found a lot of things that didn't make sense last night. Like Tesla would not exist without California Governor Gavin Newsom. No, seriously. Tesla exists for one reason: California's regulatory market. The same man who also stated in that same meeting that, well,
I hope, if there's nothing else I can communicate today, Donald Trump is temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years. California is a stable and reliable partner.
Enough said. That's all I can listen to Gavin Newsom. Seriously. He's trying to make himself relevant in any way possible, but there is no relevancy. As a matter of fact, he has done such a magnificent job. Did you know that the funniest thing may happen in California right now? Not that I'm a huge fan or advocate of any polls, but this one did at least make me laugh because out of all the people running for governor right now, do you know the ones in the lead are not Democrats? I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. He can go back to China. I digress for a moment. So anyway, Eric Swalwell is not in the lead. No, as a matter of fact, on either poll is Eric Swalwell anywhere near. As a matter of fact, 2 Republicans are leading the poll over Democrats. Governor Newsom, you've done a great job. Thank you. Continue forward. Keep talking because it appears you're about to turn your state. Oh, we can hope a different color. But the Democrats are doing a great job right now, right? They sat on the House floor and they gave the names out of the Epstein list. They finally found people that they unmasked, these bad men. Except there's a problem. Those men, at least 4 of them, had nothing to do with Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell at all. As a matter of fact, it turned out that Ro Khanna's got a little egg on his face because those 4 men in the unredacted files just appeared in a photo lineup in New York and had no connection whatsoever with Epstein or the case. So you just outed what appears to be innocent individuals, but you're the ones complaining about redaction and unredaction. So you see, it's a rather dangerous game now, isn't it? You were forced, though, to give those names out. And then you blame it back on the DOJ. I wish the DOJ had provided the explanations earlier instead of redacting then, unredacting their names, and why they unredacted names of innocent individuals is an entirely different discussion point because nobody in Congress has any idea what they're doing with this case whatsoever. The problem is you didn't come to us, but immediately ran to X on the House floor and made false accusations about 4 men while we were checking the facts. Well, Todd, you've had a lot of time to check the facts. let's be honest, both sides in this case, suck. You're all messing it up. But I'll call a spade any day of the week, and I guess that's why the channel continues to grow. But I digress for a minute, because we got the main story to get to. When a rapper and an artist is doing more than the GOP to push one of the most important acts that could ever exist, the SAVE Act, well, you got to ask yourself a question. Listen in here to CNN.
Voter ID, just so people understand, is the idea that someone shows a photo ID when they go to vote, when they go to cast their actual ballot, because there's a separate discussion right now about needing a passport or a birth certificate to register to vote, but the polling is all on voter ID showing an ID to vote.
Showing a photo ID to vote, and the American people are with Nicki Minaj to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it. But not really here. I mean, just take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats.
The statistic nobody wants you to realize, that actually all of we the people agree with this, at least the vast majority. But those up in Capitol Hill think they know better than we the people that they're supposed to represent, and so they've been arguing over this. Well, at least the House passed it. One person seems to understand how simple it is to register to vote. You need documentary proof of citizenship, passport, birth certificate, etc. And voting on election day, you need a state-issued photo ID. That would, makes sense to the vast majority of Americans. Just those on Capitol Hill are struggling with this. So out comes Nicki Minaj, speaking to her fans, she calls the Barbs, explaining to people how simple this is. It's nice that she's doing the work that the GOP should be doing. And so, even though the Democrats complain she's bribing, dear Barbs, call your senators, then tweet SAVE Act to let me know you did it. Here's a little video as a bribe to get you to do it. If you all do it, I'll let you choose between a new look and spaces. The choice is yours. She's asking for engagement, participation. What a novel thought. But people complained about that, of course. Nicki Minaj jest about bribing her Barbs to ensure SAVE Act passage prompts media meltdown, but it doesn't matter because it appears it had an impact because there was 4 holdouts in the Senate, which wasn't going to guarantee this passage. Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Thom Tillis, Republicans. There's their numbers. Those are public numbers. Not doxing anyone. Those are publicly available numbers to call your senators to make sure that they changed their mind. It appears so far that one of them did. Now, what inspired this change? Because this change had happened at, yesterday, 3:07 p.m. It appears Collins changed her mind. What time is that? 3:07 p.m. It's an important time. And if we only have 3 holdouts, with the vote of J.D. Vance, after a talking filibuster, this would pass, which would be great news, but I don't think Trump's waiting for that, because he had his own message. And his own message happened at 3:02 p.m. This is why timing's kind of important, folks. 3:02 p.m., Trump puts up this message. 3:07 p.m., out comes this post. So I wonder what pushed Collins over the edge. We cannot let the Democrats get away with no voter ID any longer. These are horrible, disingenuous cheaters. They have all sorts of reasons why it shouldn't be passed, and then boldly laugh in the back rooms after ridiculous presentations. If it weren't such a serious matter, it would be considered a total joke. No voter ID is even crazier and more ridiculous than men playing women's sports, open borders, and transgender for everyone. Republicans must put this at the top of every speech. It can't miss for re-election in the midterms and beyond. Even Democrat voters agree. He says 85%. I showed 71%. The vast majority is really all that matters. So if you don't do this, well, Trump has a plan. I'll just executive order it. I will be presenting them shortly in the form of an executive order. That would be called a nuclear option. And Washington shakes. And why is that so powerful, you might ask? Because the House passed the SAVE Act. That alone is historic. A bill designed to ensure proof of citizenship for federal elections. Something most Americans assume already exists. Doesn't, and now it's heading to the Senate. And here's where it gets real. Remember, 4 Republicans were standing in the way: Murkowski, Collins, Tillis, McConnell. Well, that was until yesterday and Nicki Minaj and Trump going postal, right? So now understand what that means. When legislation like this reaches the Senate, every vote matters, every hesitation matters, and political pressure matters. And here's a twist no one saw coming. Enter Nicki Minaj. A twist that no one saw coming. In one of the most surreal political developments of the year, Nicki Minaj mobilizes her massive fan base to barbs to start calling Senate offices playfully, yes, but effectively, absolutely. She did what political consultants get paid millions to do. She made it culturally relevant. She made it viral. She made it impossible to ignore. She did what the GOP couldn't do, and suddenly something shifted. Susan Collins, long seen as one of the critical holdouts, announces her support. Folks, that's not coincidence. That's pressure. That's what the campaign was meant to do. That's grassroots energy meeting political leverage. But here's the question nobody's asking loudly enough, as they never tend to do. Are we out of the woods yet? Oh, I've seen these things turn back quickly. Because support stalemate statements are one thing. Final votes are another. And that's where, well, that late afternoon Truth Social post from President Trump comes in, because he's seen them turn backwards also. On Truth Social, Trump didn't hedge, he didn't soften, he didn't strongly encourage, he went straight at the jugular in what he called disingenuous opposition to voter ID protections and made it crystal clear this is not optional. And then came the kicker. If Congress falters, he's prepared to act. The so-called particular option being discussed, an executive order reinforcing voter identification requirements tied to federal authority and election safeguards heading into the midterms. Now, critics will scream, executive overreach. Supporters will argue constitutional authority. But here's the deeper reality. Trump is signaling that this issue is existential, not symbolic, not messaging, existential. Do you agree with him? Is this an existential crisis if it doesn't go through? Because if the SAVE Act fails in the Senate after passing the House, the message to the country is unmistakable. Securing elections isn't urgent enough. And that a political disaster, well, could happen heading into the midterms. That is why today matters. That is why pressure campaigns matter. That is why even pop culture voices are getting involved. And why that matters. Politics is no longer confined to committee rooms and cable news panels. It's now cultural. It's digital. And a lot of those folks in the Senate have no idea what that actually means. And they definitely don't know how it means to make something go viral. And Trump, though, he does understand that better than anyone in Washington. The Democrats will call this fear-mongering. They'll say voter ID is unnecessary. They'll claim it's suppression, which makes no sense to any normal person, but somehow it makes sense to them. But polling consistently shows overwhelming bipartisan support for proof of citizenship in federal elections, which means the opposition isn't about public opinion. It's about their own personal damn power. So where does this go next? If the Senate passes it, Trump claims a massive legislative win, not easy for me to say, on election integrity before midterms. If they stall, he forces the issue. Publicly. Relentlessly. Orange Man bad becomes again public enemy number one. And he does everything unilaterally. Either way, the day of pretending this issue isn't front and center are now officially over. The House has acted. Collins has moved. The base is activated once again. And Trump has drawn a line in the sand with the help of a rap artist. So no, we're not fully out of the woods. But we're watching a political inflection point in real time, one of the most important ones, well, in modern political history. And the next move belongs to the Senate. So tick-tock, tick-tock, if you in the Senate actually know what tick-tock is. Because Nicki Minaj, well, she just used it against you. And it appears to got one of you to flip. 3 of you remaining. But if Collins does stay on the side with the vote of J.D. Vance, it doesn't matter because this will pass and Trump will sign it. And one of the most consequential acts in modern political history will be on the books. And I can't wait to see what impact that has on the midterms. I love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here today. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless Justice Knight. Signing out.